All right, so what are we thinking here? What are we thinking? My opinion is we're going to have this typical morning shakeout. I'm going to be very patient. I do expect there to be a tighter price action. The IV for this week is anticipating a tighter week than last week. A tighter week. So that's where I'm going to play it. Do not blow up your charts. Do not blow up your accounts fighting this price action when my Discord is doing something weird. It won't let me change screens anymore. There we go. Do not blow up your accounts fighting this back and forth when next week we have range expansion. So, good stuff. All right, here's the S&P here. We are 65.01. We've been in a very tight range, about a 6 to 10 point range now since the little green move at settlement open. Very, very tight price action overnight. Nothing crazy here. NASDAQ has put in a quadruple top up here into the 787, but otherwise they've been doing the same thing. If you look at the price action on the 1 minute, we've had a couple of different volume spikes into this 788, which presented a couple of good short caps if you wanted to take that. However, now we're just kind of hanging out in the 800 mark. 75 million calls. We have 29 million in puts. The condor on the 0 DTE scale is still sitting at 6,500. So we still have the main leg at 6,500 on SPX, which is 10 points above where we are. What's up, PinTG? Absolutely. Only trade A plus setups. What's up, YouTube? Gold's still topping. Yeah, top dog. Yeah, gold's getting is just rocketing, dude. Rocketing. It's good stuff. Bottom wick back up. Bookmap liquidity here is down to 6,500 and up to 6,525. That's the main skew. And then 6,540 is the big dog. My thesis, my overall thesis still remains. My bottom line, boil it all down to brass tacks thesis for the week is still buy the dip. I can't say how much red or green we're going to have. I just think we're going to have more range contraction this week. But it's still in line of buy the dip. Just wait your turn and buy the dip. That's all I can recommend. There's been some beautiful short opportunities the past week or so. But as I said yesterday morning, which somebody completely mistranslated and tried to roast me on Twitter. As they said, I said don't short at the top, but all I said was I am not interested in shorting any moves at the top. I am interested in catching the right side of the V. So in the event that the macro environment starts to downturn, that's where I'm going to start shorting. Until then, buy the dip. Buy the dip. It's working out pretty dang well. Looks like we're hanging out in the OR from last week. Yep, we finished almost smack dab in the middle of that range from last week. So still going green, 23,809. It's good stuff. Buy the dip, baby. Global chip equipment sales surged 24% on AI demand. Yeah, if you look around the market here, what do we have? Apple is red. They're usually the contrary in the past year. They've been underperforming the rest of the market. Nvidia's up 1.4, Meta's up 1.5, Tesla's up 1.1. The rest of the market is flat or red. So the S&P is underperforming the Nasdaq today. S&P is dump, recovered some of it. Nasdaq is just rocket ships. Let's zoom out a little bit. Where are our targets? NASDAQ obviously is Friday's highs, 23,900. That's still 80 points higher. So, whatever. Let's see what happens. The IV this week is pointing towards a tighter week than last week. So, like I said, don't get caught up in trying to chase a lot of activity. Let's just see what happens. My payouts from Friday have not been approved yet. They have been a little slow on responses this weekend. $23,821 still going. No volume spikes yet, so we go higher. Up and up and up. Until y'all come along and start entertaining me. I need some music. I need some music. I'm a little sunburned too. I'm crispy. That Florida sun will get you. Still going. 832. Beautiful stuff. Had a fantastic weekend, man. We flew to Florida for a couple of days. Got there early Saturday morning, got home late last night. It was beautiful. That's the way to do Florida. I'm not a beach person, so I can't do a week and like sitting on the beach. I'm an active person. So we just went down there, spent a little bit of time on the beach, did a lot of swimming because the weather was absolutely perfect. Ate a bunch of good food, a lot of oysters, crab legs, and then flew home. So scratch that itch. Good stuff. You didn't say hi. Is that where you are? Nice. We went to Pensacola. Pensacola. Man, look at this NASDAQ blast off here. Beautiful stuff. Still bought the dip, baby. That is almost a 100-point move on NASDAQ. You live in Pensacola? Dude, I didn't know that. I knew you were somewhere down there. I didn't know you were in Pensacola, though. Very cool. Very cool. You jabroni. Yeah. We had a great time, dude. Our condo was over on Navarre Beach. Could have showed you all the good food. Man, next time we go, I'll hit you up for sure. Yeah, it was beautiful. That's the first time I've ever been to Pensacola. That area, I've spent a lot of time in Florida, obviously, but not there. Get a water saver survival training. Beautiful. Little top wick here. 837. What's up, Hassan? How you doing? Do we have a high volume spike yet? No, we don't. No, we don't. Navarre is a great kayak launch there. Used to kayak goldfish. Nice. Pensacola is the best sand in the country. We had a blast, man. It was beautiful. We all agreed that it's way better than Destin. Destin is where you want to go if you want to see mullets and smell cigarette smoke. So we were happy with that. A little bit of top wick here down to 850. Remember, until I see a volume spike, I'm not interested in chasing short positions. Not interested. Not interested. Man, NASDAQ has a ton of liquidity higher. Ton of liquidity higher. Jeez Louise. Ton of liquidity higher. Let's see if they're going to catch some late shorts caught off guard here with this little red candle. We need a volume spike, though, to hold this. Hero indicator right now. Let's zoom out a little bit. They spiked to 600 million in calls and then sold off to 400. Now they've got 200 million in puts after testing the upper echelon here. This is the, it doesn't matter. 1 minute POCs don't matter. Test down to 800 here after a beautiful top wick. I'm sure some people are going to chase that short, especially after there's no high volume spike and already they're bouncing it. But they got to hold, little 3C move, and let's see how much of this they can recover. So far, most of the candle they can recover. Green, baby. You see that? No high volume spike, roll over. They instantly, in one candle, they ate up most of that red. So I'm still looking to buy the dip. I'm still not looking to short. I recommend don't chase short positions unless it's screaming at you. I picked apples this weekend. Too many apples. Made someone apple. Oh, nice. There you go. Still going, 830. Fantastic. Fantastic. Pensacola is my home, but currently stationed in Maine. Nice. Getting out next week? Nice. Beautiful, dude. What branch you in, or are you about to be, used to be in? I left a silver feature open last week, dumped 600 red, now 600 green. There you go. Do y'all see how I came up with that right there? A little bit of green back up. I don't want to chase the shorts. That should be pretty obvious now. No red. There's no high volume spike. Dumped all the way over. Hammered it back up. Did I drive down? I flew. Yep. We took a little southwest. We have like an egregious amount of points because I built my house using my credit card. So it's we was like, hey, let's just fly down to Florida for a couple of days. It's like, heck yeah, boy. Right there. What the crap did he send me? How did you get past not having a real ID? My military ID. I use my military ID. Did you sunscreen your head? A little bit. I'm a little lobstery. Alaska to Florida has been a long drive. Yeah, it's like a 38-hour drive. 840. NASDAQ is about to test the highs here, baby. Test the highs. What's NASDAQ doing? Still going, baby. Look, now they're going to catch people trying to short this, and they're going to bounce it, and then they're going to go. Watch, they're going to fly it here. They'll test the highs, and then they're going to rocket ship. Let's see, 6824 here. Did we get a volume spike? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We have a lot of liquidity higher. I don't know, man. A lot of momentum. Let's see what they can do here. If they can close that high pivot of about 840, I think it'll be a quick trip in testing and start to gather into Friday's highs. We'll see what we can do. What's up, Roaring Brewski? Mr. Lobster, yeah. There we go, 840. Now we're going to go to 900. There you go. I love it, dude. VPA, baby. 3 C's. No high volume spike, no reversal. 3 C's. Love it. I'm an IT in the Coast Guard. Nice. Very cool. What's up, Will? How you doing, buddy? Bienvenidos. Kind of worried about TPT this morning. What are they doing? Not answering my emails, not approving my payout. This is the longest I've ever taken to approve a payout. What's going on? Are you talking about no high volume on the 1 minute? Yes. Yes. So I'm sitting right here, and I don't see any high volume on the 1 minute, even on that red candle, so I don't want to chase the short. They sent your payout to me. What's up, Damien? I love it. Yeah, you're welcome. Spend it in good health. If I go through another FTT again, I'm going to lose my mind. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Feel you, bro. Let's see if they can bottom the crap out of this candle and then make it happen, Captain. There's a big green move right there. There it goes. Can they get that 900, though, is the question. That's the question. There it goes. Big green coming up 900. They're about to do it. Do you have high volume at all? Do we have high volume at all? No. No, we don't. Absorbing, baby. Let's see what they can do. Just watching for volume. Watching for volume. NQ is divergent. Let's take a look. Yeah, they are a little divergent. Yeah. I know the X's were quite red. They were underperforming the NASDAQ. So that's what I'm really seeing, if I can see one of those catch up to another. Right now, it's just we're fighting 1 minute chop. There's nothing crazy here. This looks like absorption to go higher. Until I see a volume spike, I can't, like I said, I can't advise a short position. There's no volume. We're just kind of dealing with 840 here, and we're chillaxing. Chillaxing. A little bit of red. Little bottom wick. Can we go to 900? What y'all think? What y'all think? Next week, I hope y'all appreciate what's going to happen next week. The gravity of next week's situation. We have the biggest OPEX in history, which keeps on happening. That sounds intense, but it keeps happening. I feel like every couple of OPEXs we have the biggest one in history. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we throw in FOMC, which is arguably going to be the most important FOMC in the past year or so. And then after that we have, of course, PPI, and then, or I'm sorry, this week's PPI, Vixpiration, which is going to be fantastic. So it's going to be intense. Internals are negative. Yeah, the S&P is negative. Look at the X's right now. Most of the X's are red. The only thing that's green is tech. XLY and XLK are both tech-related items. And they're both green. Everything else, red. And some of it is deeply red. XLP is deeply red. XLV is deeply red. So that's why we have this discrepancy. ES is pushing new lows of the day. NASDAQ is pushing highs of the day here. Do I watch Bookmap as well? I do. I've got Bookmap up right meow. And right now here, let me show you the liquid. Screen share, change stream. Let's go Bookmap. Discord is back to doing weird stuff. It won't let me change my stream anymore. Oh, there we go. Now it just lags. So there's Bookmap. Obviously, the skew is very, very high with significant liquidity, both on ES and NASDAQ. But the overall book is quite light here. Let's just be careful. But until we get a volume spike on the NASDAQ, I cannot recommend short position. I'm going to say it a million times because I don't want y'all to get the wrong idea of what I'm trying to do here. I'm a bear. That's all right, Nathan. I'm not going to fault anyone for being a bear, especially in a blast-off last half of the bull market, because the time to short is at the highs. It's just you have to be very careful on trying to catch those highs. That's all I say. Don't try to relentlessly short every green candle. You just wait for the signs, which is my opinion of the 3 C's. But overall, the conditions on the market have not changed much since last week. Everything still looks exactly the same. We still have the same SPX strikes. We're still in the same range. We still have the same type of volume. The price action is still similar, so there's nothing's changed. Here we go, more green. Yeah. Here's ES. ES is centered 65.40 and about 600, a lot of 600. All right, new high of the day for NASDAQ, 850. Now let's go to 900, baby. Let's go to 900. Let's go 900. TPT is about to pee me off, dude. I'm JG Wentworth. I'm only JG Wentworth when I've actually requested a payout. You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome. Volume spike. We have a slight uptick in volume on the 950 candle. Oily stuff is going down. Uh-oh. Did we find a country that needs some more freedom? 62.26 into 61.84. $61.13 there. So I like that support area. Heck, 61.13 is going to be signal channel. That's a signal right there. Gold's coming down. Man, look at gold. Gold is definitely sending a warning signal. I'm back after almost 2 years. What's up, buddy? Welcome back, pew pew few. I remember you. Yeah. I love it, dude. I love it when the people come back. That's a huge compliment. So I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thoughts on IMW rotation after FOMC? I think it'll happen. So the small caps are definitely a huge indication of what to come in the coming years. RTY has obviously been underperforming everything else for quite a while. Hasn't even come close to recapturing all-time highs, as well as the Dow and IWM and all that stuff. So if you start to see a little bit of rotational force out of the tech, especially with the chip news and all that kind of stuff, then that could be some potential for a little bit of profit taking there. And I do expect some of that into FOMC, especially the rate cuts are going to start to help out the smaller names. And y'all hear about the breaking and entering cases popping up in Canada. Negative. Gold had a perfect bounce off of the bottom of their wedge. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks, Kennedy. Let me take a look at that. NASDAQ is still on its way up to 900. I'm sorry. More bottom wicks. Still not looking to short anything. I've said it a billion times. Until we get high volume. I want to be very clear about that. People on Twitter have some of the brain capacity of a snail. That's a compliment. You feel attacked. Nah, bruh. Nah. $23,853. Love it. Love it. More bottom wicks. More going higher. 860. Still going. No high volume. Well, we have a very minor high volume spike at 950 into this 860 area. Is this a 3C move? Am I going to short it? Probably not. Russell is actually coming up on all-time highs again. Yeah, they are. They are. Short hood, nice. Still going green, 860. Look at OCTO, Octo. They're still going. They're Octo gone. Look at that, 856 to 20. Jeez Louise. What do they do? All right, ES is starting to come along. We have a little bit of correlation there. ES is going to fly, and maybe that'll push NASDAQ up. Here it goes, 860, 870, going to 900. I could hear Ohm smiling. That's Octo gone. I love it. That's right. If you can't laugh at your own jokes, then are you even a dad? No, you're not. Not at all. 860, 870. Still going, baby. Do we have any Trump speeches this week? Anyone know? I'm sure we do. And I think Trump was supposed to talk to Putin this week. He's not happy with the Russian-Ukraine situation or something like that. Still going, straight up, 5-minute rotation, upwards. Careful on hood, they just got added to the S&P. Yeah, they did. I did see that. $870, Still going. Yes, not worth touching so far. Yeah. 874 going to 900. Still going. Long or do nothing. That's it. Haven't even really been happy with any entry. Well, you know, it's Monday morning. The week is early. The only thing I can really say is just don't short. That's it. Not yet, at least. So until you have a high volume spike that is obvious and unquestionable, undeniable, you either sit here and watch and just chill and hang out and look at Trippy Mike's squirrel gif, or you do nothing. Or you're long. That's it. No shorting. Which has pretty much been the name of the game now for 2.5 months. Every single time I also go flying and I interact with the general public, especially in a situation like sitting in an airport where there's not really much to do. There is a drastic addiction to cell phone usage, which I think is pretty obvious. And at risk of sounding like an old man, there's a major problem. People are incapable of entertaining themselves other than smashing that phone in front of their face. How about talk to your kids? How about ask them how their day is? Nope. It's terrible. You mean socialize? Oh, that's a bad word. No, man. That's right. That's right. All right. 855, a little 20-point red candle. Still not shorting. Not because we don't have high volume. Still not shorting. Not me, though. We're still attacking yesterday's highs, which is 900, or Friday's highs. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I woke up at 5 with burning nostrils and a ton of congestion. Not usual. Walked out this morning at 5 a.m. to dense fog. The air smelled weird, dry mist air, but almost wasn't. On my truck appeared to be a powdery substance. Liquefy. Interesting. What's weird is last night there were sounded like 2 helicopters circling around. Uh-oh. That ain't no good. There's some weird stuff going on out there, man. Weird stuff. Let's see. What do we have here, Kennedy? You got a little trend line going? There appears to be a trend line right here. What time is it? What time is it? We have 1 minute till the top of the hour. We do have very, very minor data. CB employment trends here in about 20 seconds. Very, very minor data. It's a 1-star event. $8.45. ES is coming off here too. They're about to undo their whole range. NASDAQ is coming down a little bit. Still no high volume spike. What's going on with these job reports? Signs pointing to unemployment going up here pretty soon. Well, it's all been nonsense. Every bit of it. All the jobs data that we've been fed the past 5 years have been complete nonsense. Asking your kids how their day is scary interacting with wildlife. Yeah. You're cooked. Yeah. Random not trading related questions. As a pilot, do you have any thoughts on the Commander Faber? Yes, he's a very credible individual. I don't know him. I've met people that have met him before. Didn't necessarily know him, but they've met him. And all signs that his reports, and he's been known for being credible, and I believe him to be credible. So I don't think he was making that up. So I don't know. What conclusion am I left to make? Me being in the flight industry, knowing the tools that he uses are very reliable tools. So everything, the LiDAR that he's talking about, the radar, all the tools that he's used, I've used. And they're very credible tools. They're not something that could be easily spoofed or misinterpreted. So, yeah. What is hero for today on SPX? The hero right now is a significant call buying. We have 580 million in calls purchased. We have 11 million in puts sold. So once again, a bullish 0DD activity. The trace indicator is popping up against 6,500. So the market once again is not liking 6,500 SPX. That's why S&P continues to reject and go lower. That's why we have, well, a number of reasons why we have this discrepancy. Oil is getting creamed down to 62 like corn. Anyone like cream corn? I used to love cream corn. I was a weird kid, though. Used to eat paint chips. I think what he saw was real, but intended for us to see something different. I don't know, man, but I believe he saw something. Nothing to see here, yeah. I personally have never seen anything related to aliens. You guys know, or talk to anyone looking for work. It's terrible out there. I keep hearing that. I don't know anyone unemployed, but I know a lot of people trying to get new jobs. I see that on social media. I haven't, I haven't talked to anyone that's had problems doing that. Of course, I don't know very many unemployed people, but I've seen a lot of this stuff on the internet. Yeah. Coming up to green, 845. So again, no significant high volume spike here. More bottom wicks than anything. I saw something questionable, but that's before we knew about drones. It definitely seems like a drone versus typical UFO type movement. Yeah. When you read a lot of history, it puts a whole new perspective on things. Things were wild 600 years ago. Yeah. All right, I gotta get this guy. Who is this? One sec. All right, 849. What would happen to the markets if Trump announced extraterrestrials have arrived? Probably rocket 1,000 points. Who knows? Who knows? There would probably be an initial dump and then bounce as people realized, holy crap, we're about to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology, and ES would go to 10,000. There's always a bull spin. They find out Elon's AI. Yeah. All right, ES is not doing well, man. So if the S&P breaks this low pivot, you could play down to, 64.93, and then after that, we can have a different conversation, another 10, 20 points. But you see the ES is only 6-point range. That's a very, very tight range. NASDAQ is still on the climb. We have no high volume spikes to speak of on the 5-minute. We have no real 3Cs to speak of that is anything attractive. So my thought is just either play the long side or do nothing. Just wait. Or play something like oil. Oil's on a big trend. Gold is shaking and baking, but oil's getting wrecked. Let's go look on the 5-minute on oil. We haven't come down and hit our pivot yet of 61.84, but they put in some supportive volume with the bottom wick. What happens if Putin put on a press conference with Grays and not USA? It would be interesting. Aliens and nuclear were already priced in. More bottom wicks. I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. I wish that were true. I hope it's true. I know there's not VPA, but it feels like NASDAQ needs at least one rejection off the first high retest. Patience. Yeah, 100%. No, that is VPA. That's definitely VPA. Is there a max per day we can make on the TakeProfitTrader trades? I have a $50,000 account. If you're in a pro account, you can't make more than $10,000 in a single day because they'll lock your account and switch you over to live. That happened to me on Friday. If you're on a pro live account, there is no max you can make. You can make as much as you want. I was stuck in Japan having shot to block protein. What are infants? You don't want to be in a live account? The live account on TakeProfitTrader is not bad. It's not bad. Top Step, I hate their live account. I hate it because they put the handcuffs back on you. They say, "Welcome to the big leagues. We trust you now," and then they immediately put handcuffs back on you. Psych. It's nonsense. TakeProfitTrader's live account's actually pretty good. There's not really any difference in terms of constrictions. Now they do a couple of things that I don't like the way they lock in some of your funds. Although you could still get it back, but they lock $5,000 of your funds as a buffer that you get back if you do end up blowing the account. But I don't like the fact that they lock it until that happens. But other than that, there's really not, I actually enjoy it. Here comes 900. Aside from the fact it takes 2 weeks to get you into a live account. I kind of like that as long. Yeah, they true to the word. Yeah, I mean, you see everything in there. You see all the balances. It's not like it goes off into oblivion where you don't see it. You see the balance where, well, here's the $5,000 that is locked, but you get it back. I've got 500 left to lose on my first 50K funded account. Go slow. Don't try to get it all back in one trade. Inch your way back. I've had accounts before that were like $200 before you blew up the account, $200 from the drawdown. And as I started going back to micros, I built myself up a buffer, then worked my way back up to 1 mini, and eventually ended up going back and taking profits, payouts out of it. So just go slow. All right, so calls are rocketing. 900 million in calls, 112 million of sold puts, and we're still climbing on NASDAQ. What's NVIDIA doing? NVIDIA still rocket ships. They're going to catch people sleeping up here trying to short. How much y'all want to bet? NVIDIA's going up? Yeah, it is. No volume spikes. NASDAQ is still chilling up there with liquid. Still chilling with liquid. Do you really think the MMs will let all those calls finish in the money? No. No. I'm not saying they're not going to dump it today. I'm just saying right now they're still buying up everything and they're not spiking volume into resistance. We have one volume spike there at the 950, which was a moderate volume spike into this area. And we have liquidity higher, so. I'd like to see an early dump for a buy the dip opportunity. I'd love that. Yeah. You have all trades and yeah, so for me, Lord Quackazoid, I have all trades off. I only have next expiration on. So that's why. If I had to guess, that's why. The S&P is still holding flat in their very tiny micro range. NASDAQ is up here dealing with the 850 mark. Still in a very tight range. There's a 5-minute. There's the 15-minute. Big old doji on the 15, so there you go. Bottom wick with volume. Well, very small volume, but bottom wick. Accumulating. Where do you think they would buy the dip? I don't want to front run. If they were to roll this, I would look for 50% of the range. And then after that, you're going down low of the day. And when you have a couple of different legs up here, you could pick your poison. You got a couple of different legs you could possibly play, but any one of those could break easily. So what I would just focus on doing is watch for high volume, play the pullbacks, and then as the price action is dropping, if you see a volume spike, play the bounce. If not, it's going to come back down to the low of the day, which is 23,771. Not that big of a move. It's only 70 points on NASDAQ. That's small potatoes for NASDAQ. Other than that, this is a slower, choppier day. Still no short opportunities yet. Did the fog you mentioned earlier have an odor? It did have an odor, yeah.